The rain had been falling for 4 hours, soaking Kira through to the bone. Her white hair stuck to her face and neck, and her pale skin had taken on a bluish hue from the cold. Her thin dress offered no protection against the harsh autumn storm. She had been walking since dawn, trying to put as much distance as possible between herself and the Darkwood pack. Now that night had fallen, she desperately needed shelter, or she would die from exposure. Through the rain, a barn appeared like a blessing. It was old and worn, probably abandoned judging by the crooked door, but it had walls and a roof. That was all Kira needed. Her legs trembling from exhaustion, she stumbled forward and pushed her way inside. The interior was dark, smelling of old hay and rotting wood, but it was dry. She collapsed onto a pile of straw in the corner, too tired to care about comfort or safety. Her body was shutting down from cold, hunger, and 3 days of relentless walking without rest. She curled into a ball, wrapping her arms around herself, trying to generate warmth. The rejection ceremony replayed in her mind. Damien, the Alpha's son and her supposed destined mate, standing before the pack, speaking the words that severed their bond. I reject you, Kira. You're albino, cursed by the goddess, a blight on our bloodline. I won't be mated to a ghost. You're not worthy to carry my mark or bear my children. The pack had cheered, actually cheered, as if her rejection were something to celebrate. Her genetics, something beyond her control, made her less than everyone else. The Alpha had banished her immediately, declaring that an albino Omega had no place in Darkwood, that her presence brought misfortune and would weaken the pack. Kira hadn't argued or begged. She had simply gathered her few belongings and left, because what else could she do? She had no family. Her parents had died when she was 8, in a hunting accident that everyone whispered wasn't really an accident. Her mother, Elena, had been albino like Kira, and her father, Thomas, a strong beta who loved his unusual mate fiercely. They had been on an authorized hunt with other pack members when tragedy struck. Someone's arrow had struck her mother, and her father had tried to protect her. He was shot too. Both died before help could arrive. The pack called it a terrible accident, but Kira, old enough to understand, knew the truth from the whispers and sidelong glances. Her parents had been murdered for being different. Raised by the pack out of obligation, not love, Kira had been fed, clothed, and sheltered, but never wanted, never loved. People avoided her, treated her like bad luck, blamed her for misfortunes she had no part in. And now, after Damien's public rejection, she was alone, destined to die alone in a barn. Maybe that was what she deserved. Maybe the pack was right. Maybe she was cursed. Kira closed her eyes, too exhausted even to cry, waiting for sleep or death, whichever came first. She awoke to warmth, not from the sun or a fire, but the warmth of living bodies pressed against her. Her eyes flew open, heart racing, and she found herself staring at a wolf. Massive, dark brown, with amber eyes watching her with gentle curiosity. It lay directly in front of her, close enough for her to feel its breath, radiating heat like a furnace. And it wasn't alone. Kira slowly lifted her head and looked around. 10 wolves surrounded her, enormous, lying in a circle like guardians of something precious. Some pressed against her, sharing warmth. Others formed an outer ring, watching the barn entrance. They had arranged themselves around her like a nest, as if she needed protection. Kira should have been terrified. Wolves this size were dangerous, and being surrounded with no escape should have sent her into panic. Yet she felt safe. More than safe. She felt at home, finally, after a lifetime of being lost. The wolf with amber eyes shifted and rested its massive head on her shoulder. The gesture was gentle, trusting, and Kira instinctively reached up to touch its fur. Soft and warm, the wolf rumbled with contentment. "Thank you," Kira whispered hoarsely. For keeping me warm. For not hurting me. The wolf's eyes seemed to brighten, and through instinct she felt its response. Not words, but emotion, acceptance, belonging, family. As dawn broke and light filtered through the barn's cracks, Kira examined her companions. They were varied. Gray, brown, almost black, differing in size and build. Yet all shared the same expression. Recognition, as if they had been searching for her, and finally found what they sought. She noticed their scars, missing fur, old injuries, one with a missing eye, another limping, a gray female with a twisted paw, a black male with muzzle scars from barbed wire. They were not perfect, powerful wolves. They were damaged, broken, just like her. Are you outcasts too? She asked softly to the amber-eyed wolf still on her shoulder. Is that why you found me? Because you recognized someone who doesn't belong anywhere? The wolf's tail wagged slowly, an unmistakable yes. Tears burned her eyes. These damaged, beautiful creatures had found her in the night and chosen to protect her. They didn't care she was albino. They didn't care she was rejected or banished. They had simply seen someone in need and given help freely. Can I stay with you? She whispered. Just for a while until I figure out where to go. The amber-eyed wolf lifted its head and licked her face. A clear answer. Yes. Stay. Your pack now. The days that followed were the strangest and most wonderful of Kira's life. She stayed in the barn with her wolves. They taught her survival, bringing her food, fresh kills from the forest laid at her feet like offerings, and showing her where to find clean water. They kept her warm through every night and guarded her through every day. And slowly, Kira began to understand the truth. These wolves weren't just strays who had stumbled upon her by accident. They were connected to her. She could feel their emotions, sense their presence even when they were out of sight, communicate with them through impressions and feelings instead of spoken words. It wasn't a shifter-style pack bond. It was deeper, older, more instinctive. Kira had heard old stories, moon singers who shaped reality with their voices, wolf speakers who talked to wild wolves. But there was one gift rarer than all the others, the pack heart, a soul capable of forming true family bonds with wolves who had been abandoned, rejected, or orphaned, a person who could heal emotional wounds and give broken wolves a reason to trust again. Kira had always believed she was cursed, defective, unwanted. But what if she wasn't broken at all? What if her albinism wasn't a curse but a sign, an outward marker of the gift she carried? Pack hearts were said to be marked by unusual appearances, set apart so they could gather those who didn't belong anywhere else. She wasn't cursed. She was chosen. And these 10 wolves, each rejected or wounded, had found her because they needed her just as much as she needed them. Over the next days, their stories unfolded in her mind, images, emotions, flashes of memory. The amber-eyed wolf, whom she named Guardian, had once been an alpha. Rogues had slaughtered his pack, and though he survived, the trauma trapped him in wolf form. She could sense he was a shifter, not a true wolf, but he could no longer shift back. The gray female with the twisted paw became silver. Born with her deformity, abandoned as a pup, she survived alone for years, strong, clever, but crushingly lonely. The black wolf with the barbed wire scars became Shadow, forced into illegal fighting rings, muzzled with wire, beaten between fights, starved and terrified. He escaped, but the trauma ran deep. He flinched at loud noises and avoided all humans. Ember, the rust-colored female, had lost her pups because her pack rejected mixed-blood cubs. She'd carried the children of a wild wolf, and when they were born, the pack stole and killed them. Then they cast her out for her shame. There was Ash, the small white wolf with icy blue eyes, rejected for his size. His pack saw him as weak, and eventually drove him out to make space for stronger wolves. Frost, the elderly silver wolf, had been abandoned when he grew too old to hunt. His pack left him behind during a migration. Guardian had found him barely surviving. River, sleek and gray, had been blamed for her mate's death. Branded as bad luck, she left before they could formally banish her. Thorn, the brown male covered in scars, had been tortured by humans. He escaped, but the cruelty left him deeply mistrusting, except toward other broken souls. Storm, the large gray wolf, had gone feral after losing his family to disease. Guardian helped him return from the edge, but he was still skittish, around shifters. And finally, Dawn, the young golden wolf born under a blood moon. Her pack called her cursed and drove her out before she was even a year old. Guardian had saved her life. 10 wolves, 10 stories of pain, abandonment, survival. 10 souls who had formed a pack of the broken, the unwanted, the lost. And now they had found Kira, their pack heart, the one who could weave them into a true family. On the 7th day, as Kira sat at the barn entrance watching her wolves play in the morning sun, visitors arrived. She sensed them before she saw them, an unsettling ripple in the peace her pack had learned to trust. The wolves stopped playing instantly and formed a protective barrier in front of her, low growls vibrating in their throats. 3 men stepped out from the tree line, the strength in their presence marking them as shifters. The man in the center was clearly an alpha, tall, powerful, streaks of silver in his dark hair. The 2 beside him were betas, younger but equally dangerous. The alpha halted a respectful distance away, lifting his hands in peace. "We mean no harm," he called. "We're from the Iron Ridge Pack. I'm Alpha Marcus. We've been tracking these wolves for weeks. They escaped from a facility that used them for illegal fighting rings. We've been trying to rescue them and bring them to a sanctuary." Kira rose slowly, her wolves pressing protectively against her legs. "They don't need to be recaptured," she said. "They're with me now. They're my pack." Alpha Marcus's eyes widened as he finally registered her appearance. White hair, pale skin, the wolves guarding her like royalty. Recognition dawned, followed by awe. "You're a pack heart," he breathed. "I've read about your kind, but never thought I'd see one. This is extraordinary." "I don't know what I am," Kira admitted, "but I know these wolves chose me, and I won't let anyone take them." "I wouldn't dare," Marcus said quickly. "If they've bonded to you, if you are their heart, then they belong with you. No one would be foolish enough to challenge that bond. But tell me, where is your pack? Where is your alpha? A pack heart should be cherished, protected, honored. Why are you alone in an abandoned barn?" Kira's throat tightened. "I was rejected. Banished from Darkwood Pack because I'm albino. They said I was cursed." The fury that flashed across Marcus's face was instant and molten. They rejected a pack heart? Banished one of the rarest gifts the goddess ever made? What fools could be that blind? "They didn't know what I was," Kira said. "I didn't know either. My gift only awakened when I was alone, when I had nowhere left to go." One of the betas, kind brown eyes, sandy hair, stepped forward. "That's how pack heart gifts work," he said gently. "I'm Finn, Marcus's beta. I study rare abilities. A pack heart only awakens when the bearer is in true need, and meets souls who need them just as desperately. It activates through mutual need." The other beta, dark-haired with sharp green eyes, nodded. "I'm Cole, and Finn is right. You couldn't have awakened this gift while still in a pack, even a cruel one. It only appears when you're completely alone, and you find others who are alone too." Marcus shook his head slowly, disgust and disbelief mixing in his expression. "Darkwood has always been backward, but this is unforgivable. Tell me, Kira, do you have anywhere to go? Anyone who will take you in? No, she whispered. Just my wolves. Then come to Iron Ridge, Marcus said immediately. You and your pack. All of you. We have the space, the resources, and most importantly, the respect for gifts like yours. You would be honored among us, given a home, protection. Your wolves would receive proper medical care, good food, safety. You would all have family. Kira felt her heart leap at the offer. They kept her warm at night and guarded her during the day. Slowly, Kira began to understand what was happening. These wolves weren't random strays. They were bonded to her. She could feel their emotions, sense their locations even out of sight, and communicate with them through thoughts and feelings rather than words. It wasn't like a shifter pack bond. It was deeper, instinctive. Kira had heard legends of special wolves, moon singers who affected reality with their voice, wolf speakers who could communicate with wild wolves. But there was a rarer gift, the pack heart. Someone who could create true family bonds with wolves who had been rejected, abandoned, or orphaned. Someone who could heal emotional wounds and give damaged wolves a reason to trust again. Kira had always thought she was broken, defective, cursed. But what if she wasn't? What if her albinism wasn't a curse, but a sign of the gift she carried? The pack heart was said to be marked by unusual appearance, someone meant to gather those who didn't fit anywhere else. She wasn't cursed. She was blessed. These 10 wolves, each rejected or damaged, had found her because they needed her as much as she needed them. Over the following days, she learned their stories through images and emotions. The amber-eyed wolf she named Guardian. He had been alpha of a small pack before rogues attacked, killing everyone he loved. He barely escaped, and trauma had left him unable to shift back to human form, though she could sense he was a shifter. The gray female with the twisted paw was Silver. Born with the deformity, abandoned by her pack, she survived alone, learning to hunt despite her disability, but loneliness had eaten at her. The black male with the scarred muzzle became Shadow. Used in illegal fighting rings, muzzled with barbed wire, beaten and starved, he escaped, but flinched at loud noises and avoided humans. There was Ember, a rust-colored female who lost her pups to a pack that didn't want, mixed blood cubs. Ash, a white wolf with ice-blue eyes rejected for being too small. Frost, an elderly silver wolf abandoned for age. River, a sleek gray female blamed for her mate's death. Thorn, a brown male scarred and tortured by humans. Storm, a large gray wolf who went feral after losing his family to disease. And Dawn, a young golden wolf born during a blood moon, declared cursed by her pack. 10 wolves, 10 stories of rejection and pain, 10 souls who formed a pack of the broken, the unwanted, the lost. And now they had found Kira, their pack heart, the one who could bind them into a true family. On the 7th day, Kira sat in the barn entrance, watching her wolves play in the morning sun when visitors arrived. She felt them before seeing them, a disturbance in the peaceful routine. The wolves stopped and formed a protective line. 3 men emerged from the tree line, shifters, powerful. The center one was clearly alpha, tall, commanding, dark hair streaked with silver. The 2 flanking him were Bitaz, younger but dangerous. The alpha stopped, raising his hands. "We mean no harm," he called. "We're from the Iron Ridge Pack. I'm Alpha Marcus. We've been tracking these wolves for weeks. They escaped from a facility holding them for illegal fighting rings. We want to bring them to a sanctuary for rehabilitation." Kira stood slowly, her wolves pressing closer. They didn't need recapturing. They were with her pack. Marcus's eyes widened as he took in her white hair, pale eyes, and the protective wolves around her. Recognition dawned, followed by awe. "You're a pack heart," he breathed. I've read about your kind, but never thought I'd meet one. This is extraordinary. I don't know what I am, Kira admitted. But these wolves chose me, and I won't let anyone take them. I have no intention of taking them, Marcus said quickly. If they've bonded to you as their heart, they belong with you. But where's your pack? Your alpha? A pack heart should be treasured, protected, honored. Why are you alone in an abandoned barn? Kira's throat tightened. I was rejected, banished from Darkwood Pack because I'm albino. They said I was cursed. Fury crossed Alpha Marcus's face. They rejected a pack heart, banished one of the rarest gifts the goddess can bestow. They didn't know what I was? Kira said. I didn't know either. My gift awakened only after I was alone, with nowhere else to go. One beta with kind brown eyes and sandy hair spoke. That's how pack heart gifts work. I'm Finn. I lost my sister 5 years ago. Different too. Had visions that scared people. Our old pack drove her out. She died alone. Marcus, as Alpha, established Iron Ridge as a sanctuary for wolves with rare gifts. We won't let that happen again. The other beta, darker-haired with green eyes, nodded. I'm Cole. Finn's right. Gifts like yours awaken only when you're truly alone and meet others equally lost. Marcus shook his head. Darkwood has always been backwards, but this is unforgivable. Tell me, Kira, do you have anywhere to go? Anyone to take you in? No, she admitted. Just my wolves. Then come to Iron Ridge, Marcus said immediately. You and your pack. We have space, resources, and respect for gifts like yours. You'll be honored, protected, and your wolves will have medical care, good food, safety. You'll be family. Kira wanted to accept immediately. Her name was Claire. They had been happy, planning for pups, until a rival pack attacked while Jace was on patrol. Claire was killed defending the nursery. Jace blamed himself for not being there, and had punished himself ever since. It was Guardian who helped Kira understand the depth of Jace's pain. One evening, as she sat by the fire with her wolves, Guardian pressed his nose to her hand, sending images and memories that weren't hers but that he had absorbed from Jace during their brief interactions. A younger Jace, happy and in love, coming home to find the pack in chaos, discovering Claire's body as his wolf tried to take over, almost going feral with grief. Marcus had pulled him back, but Jace never fully recovered, existing rather than living, going through motions without feeling. He's like you were, Kira whispered to Guardian, broken and alone, convinced he doesn't deserve to heal. Guardian's tail wagged in agreement. Kira made a decision. If Jace wouldn't come to her, she would go to him. The next day, she found him on the training grounds, moving through combat drills with a violence that bordered on self-punishment. Every precise movement, every controlled strike, a way to channel emotional pain. She watched quietly for a moment, then called out, Jace, can we talk? He stopped mid-swing, turning to her, expression neutral. About what? About the fact that you're hurting and won't let anyone help you. I don't need help. I'm fine. You're not fine, Kira said gently. I can feel it. The grief, the guilt, the belief that you don't deserve to be happy. I understand it, because I felt the same way not long ago. I thought I was cursed, broken, unworthy of love or belonging. But I was wrong, and so are you. You don't know anything about me, Jace said, voice hard. I know you lost someone you loved, Kira continued, stepping closer. I know you blame yourself for not being there to protect her. You've been punishing yourself, keeping everyone at a distance, refusing to feel because feeling means remembering, and remembering hurts too much. Jace's carefully controlled expression cracked for a moment, revealing raw pain. Stop, he said roughly. You don't get to do this. You don't get to dig into my head and tell me how I feel. I'm not digging into your head, Kira said. I'm offering to help you heal. That's what a pack heart does. We take broken pieces and help them become whole again, but I can't do it unless you let me. Why? Jace demanded. Why do you care? You barely know me? Because you're pack, Kira said simply. Because you're in pain and I can help. Because no one should carry that kind of weight alone. She hesitated, then added honestly, because when I look at you, I see someone worth saving. Someone who deserves to be happy. Someone who's been strong for everyone else so long that he's forgotten how to be strong for himself. Jace stared at her, the internal battle visible, the desire to accept help warring with the belief he didn't deserve it. Slowly, his shoulders sagged. I don't know how to let go, he admitted quietly. I don't know how to stop seeing her face every time I close my eyes. I don't know how to forgive myself for not being there. Then let me show you, Kira said, holding out her hand. Trust me, just for a moment. Let me in. Jace looked at her hand like it was both a lifeline and a trap. Then, with effort, he took it. The connection hit immediately, overwhelming. Kira felt his pain, enormous, suffocating years of grief, guilt, and self-hatred. For a moment, she almost pulled back. It was too much. But she remembered her wolves, how her gift had helped them heal. She could do this. She could help Jace too. Kira closed her eyes and began to work, not removing the pain, but helping him process it, organize it, understand it. She showed him that grief wasn't weakness, that loving and losing didn't make him broken, that his mate wouldn't want him to suffer forever, that healing didn't mean forgetting, that he could be happy again without dishonoring her memory. Hours passed, or maybe minutes, and gradually she felt his grip on her hand loosen. The crushing weight of his pain lifted, becoming manageable, something he could carry without being destroyed. When Kira opened her eyes, Jace stared at her in wonder. What did you do? He breathed. I helped you see what was already there, Kira said. The strength to move forward, the permission to heal, the understanding that you are not betraying her by choosing to live fully again. Jace's eyes were wet with tears, probably for the first time in years. Thank you, he whispered. I didn't think I could ever feel anything but pain again, but now, maybe I can. You can, Kira said softly. It takes time, and there'll be hard days, but you won't face them alone anymore. Something shifted in Jace's expression. Then he looked at her differently, with an intensity that made her heart race. Kira, he said slowly, when you touched me, when you helped me, did you feel anything else? Anything beyond the healing? Kira's breath caught. Yes, she had. A pull, a recognition, a sense of rightness that went beyond the pack-heart bond. I think so, she admitted, but I don't understand what it means. I do, Jace said, certainty in his voice now. It's the mate bond. You're my second chance, Kira. The goddess's way of telling me it's okay to love again, that I'm allowed to be happy. If you'll have me, if you'll let me prove I can be worthy of you, I want to try. Kira's heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. A mate, a true mate, who saw her gift as beautiful, who understood pain and healing, who had been broken and was choosing to be whole again. It was everything she had never dared to hope for. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll have you. I'll give this a chance. I'll give us a chance. Jace pulled her into his arms and kissed her. It was nothing like she had imagined. Desperate, grateful, and full of promise. When they finally parted, both breathing heavily, he rested his forehead against hers. I was dead inside, he said quietly. Going through the motions, not really living. Then you came along, with your white hair, your damaged wolves, and your enormous heart. You made me want to live again. You saved me, Kira, just like you saved your pack. We saved each other, Kira corrected softly. That's what family does. 2 months later, the mating ceremony was held with the entire Iron Ridge pack in attendance. Kira wore a silver and white dress with flowers woven into her hair, and her 10 wolves stood in honor, witnessing the union of their pack heart and her mate. Guardian stood closest, amber eyes bright with approval. Silver positioned her twisted paw carefully. Shadow, no longer flinching at the crowd, held his head high. When Jace marked her neck, claiming her before the pack, her wolves howled in celebration, a sound of pure joy echoing through the valley. Even Storm, once feral, joined in, a voice full of healing and hope. Marcus, officiating, smiled broadly. Today, he announced, we celebrate not just a union between two individuals, but the healing love can bring. Kira, you came to us broken and alone, with only your gift and your courage. You've given so much, helped so many, and built a family from pieces no one else wanted. Jace, you found your way back from darkness because of her light. Together, you're stronger than you were apart. May the goddess bless this union and all the healing it represents. As the pack celebrated, Kira danced with Jace under the full moon, her wolves resting nearby. She thought about how far she had come, from a rejected albino Omega hiding in a barn to Luna of Iron Ridge, honored, loved, and treasured. From believing she was cursed to understanding she was blessed, from alone to surrounded by family. She'd found shelter in a barn, and by morning, 10 wolves had slept around her like a nest. They had kept her warm, safe, and led her to where she truly belonged, not despite her differences, but because of them. Not in spite of being a pack heart, but because of it. Years later, when young wolves came seeking guidance, feeling broken or different or alone, Kira would take their hands and tell them her story. How she'd been rejected for being albino, nearly died alone, and found family in the most unexpected place. She introduced them to Guardian, now recovered enough to shift into human form and serving as head of security for rejected wolves seeking sanctuary. To Silver, who became a tracker despite her disability, proving that different didn't mean less. To Shadow, who worked with traumatized rescue wolves, his scars a testament to survival. She would tell them that being different wasn't a curse, that gifts often came wrapped in forms others didn't understand, that wolves who rejected you were making room for the pack that would accept you, and that sometimes the greatest strength came not from being perfect, but from being perfectly yourself. Your brokenness isn't a flaw, she'd tell them, echoing the lesson she learned. It's a map to finding others who understand. It's a gift that lets you help those who hurt the way you hurt. Her pack heart gift didn't make her special. It made her useful to those who needed her, and in helping them, she found the family she had been missing all along.